Right. My cat's demanding attention. I'm just gonna put out a tweet, get my cup of tea, and then we'll start. Tweet. Tweeter. Perfect. I will BRB. Just gonna grab my tea, and then we'll start. Alright. Put up. Screen of green. Everything over, but it's fine. It's gonna be fine. Oh. Hi. Probably right. How's it going? How's everyone doing? Thought I'd it's 1:37 in the UK. It is 13:37. It is Leet time. Maybe I should stream at Leet time every day, and that'd be perfect. Bam. Yeah. So, lots of things I want to talk about today. I mean, probably. I haven't really thought about it even. Let's go over the news and have a chat, and then see what people want to talk about. To be honest, I mean, there is Dino Threat playtests. There are Ninetales playtests this weekend. There's a Free Fly event next weekend. There's a load of more stuff that's being worked on in the roadmap. So we know that in a couple of quarters, they're going to start working on things like the Orion and the other ship. The other ship that's probably in the title of this. The Genesis. That's the one. Thanks. Forgot all the words. It's been a long few weeks, okay? And not just in Star Citizen, but in my life as well. If you'd like to ask a question in brackets, and that means I'll be able to more easily put it out from potentially a crowd of questions. Yeah, so ask questions. They can be about me. They can be about Star Citizen. They can be about the channel. They can be about whatever. Yeah, so some people are obviously having lots of problems with 3.14. There was a hotfix that has largely, or at least for some people, fixed their ships not being properly claimable in the ASOP terminals and editable. Character resets have helped other people as well. So hopefully that's mostly solved for people now. There is a PTU patch at the moment and PTU tests ongoing with greater desync fixes. So I'll get a video out after the stream. Bam. I'll pop a video out about the Star Citizen news and all the updates and stuff throughout the week. Zin is not around this weekend. I mean, I'm not really around this weekend. Spooky Ghost. No. When I finish stream, I'm going off to my mates for a barbecue and chilling out for the rest of the day. And I'm not sure if I'll do a video tomorrow or not. Well, I'll probably... Whether or not I'll do a video tomorrow, I'll almost certainly record and play in some Xeno Threat and Ninetales Lockdown event stuff, because I want to do that. I haven't done that properly in 3.14 beyond PTU tests. Now, admittedly, Xeno Threat is another playtest weekend on the PTU, but it's a lot more stable because it's built off of a live build. Do you see what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm interested to see with the next week's, so on the 18th of August, we're going to have starting the 18th, we're going to have a free flight. I think it's the 18th. Starting the 18th, we're having a free flight. So anyone that's got a Star Citizen account, or you can just make one for free, can try out the game, and there's going to be a selection of ships for everyone to try as well. But are we going to see the Foundation Festival event? That's how my brain works. Are we going to see the Foundation Festival event? Maybe. I mean, there were skins in it, in sort of like in the code for the game. So probably Foundation Festival, free fly. I haven't caught a board stream for a while. I love you, Ramos. Hope you're doing well, sir. Board says, ask me anything. What's your blood type? I think I'm O. I can't remember. I don't know. I will find out one day. I'll ask my mother. Mum, what's my blood type? My board. Hello, hello. Thank you for all the love. Appreciated. So the ongoing saga with home life and obviously my father recently passed away. We're doing okay. Like as me and my mum and my brothers, we're doing okay. Obviously, it's erratic for my mother emotionally, but I think she's doing very well considering it was his funeral yesterday. It was just a nice little small, understated funeral in a chapel. It was very, very respecting his wishes as much as we could. I mean, he would have been happy just to fly tip him. He wanted it as cheaply as possible, but we wanted to do a little bit more, but still keep it private. But thank you so much for all of the kind messages and the support. I mean, such as it is, it is appreciated. I've got a platform that can talk about it as well, and you have to listen, which is fantastic as well. But yeah, genuinely, I'm doing well. My family's doing well, as well as can be. And now's the sort of like time after most of the traumatic stuff is dealt with to an extent. It's the sort of the healing process can start sort of emotionally, and yeah, I appreciate all the love. Thank you. It's a hard thing to talk about, and I don't think we've been particularly played the most awful hand in the world with it. Like he was comfortable. He was yeah, he wasn't in any pain or anything. It wasn't an awful way to go. It was just well before his time, and it was unfair. And life is cruel, but I'm glad that I got to spend an extra year with him beyond when we thought he was going to pass away. So some of the box missions in Star Citizen, I think they're largely fixed in the PTU now, but they were like Area 18 was bugged, wouldn't accept box missions at all, things like that. Yeah, sorry, I've sort of streamed at a weird time. It's obviously yesterday I was busy. Typically I do stream on Tuesdays and Fridays at the moment, but me and Zin are going to be doing proper schedules in the future. Hope you're doing well as well, Plastic Death. I love your face, mate. Do you think larger missiles for an IX or a 9 will be added? I'm sure they will be a menace, as only 5 Argos 9 missiles and torpedoes can take down. Oh, okay. I needed to read that before I read it. So, there's going to be a huge amount of balance, especially to damage shields and hull types with torpedoes and missiles going in the future. When we have physicalized damage, sub-targeting of components, the physical damage system with physicalized components is going to be so important because you're going to be disabling parts of the ship and that sort of stuff. So missiles are going to have a very different use over torpedoes. I think missiles are going to be a bit more precision than a torpedo is. I think torpedoes are probably going to be slower and do larger damage to more areas, whereas a larger missile would probably be more precision in smaller AoE for the most part. I mean, it's going to be different for different things, but it'll be interesting to see how they balance all this stuff in the future. But that balance isn't there yet. What's my opinion on the Scorpius? Let's bring up these Scorpius. Outside score. Where should we bring it up from? Star Citizen Tools. Let's bring it up from Star Citizen Tools. So, what's my opinion on the Scorpius? Beep. I think it's a cool-looking RSI ship. I mean, they needed to have some form of X-wing tribute in the game. They sort of have that now. I like the idea of it to an extent with that moving remote turret. I think it's a good idea, but how directly does it compete with the Hercules? How directly does it compete with some of the other heavy fighters that we've got in game, or we're going to be getting in game? And we'll have to sort of wait and see how it balances out. But I'm sort of fine to have them have these different types of ship and more flavors of similar ships. I mean, they are going to be different sort of choices for different scenarios, and that's sort of very important in Star Citizen. So I think I probably prefer the Hercules just because of the larger turret on it. How's the weather where you're at? It's actually a reasonable day. It's a little bit too humid. It's sunny with some showers, is why I describe it. Sunny with some clouds. I'll be having a barbecue in a bit. Going to a barbecue anyway. Rather than having one. It was mentioned that only one of the ship teams was working on a ship variant. The only variant I can recall still in the pipes is the Hull series. Opinions. There could be loads of different variants for lots of different ships that are either being worked on or not being worked on, but are in the wings, and that could be lots of different things. Like they mentioned that there's going to be modularity for, well, probably for the Redeemer, for example. So it could be that's a variant. It could be modules for modular sections for other ships that make them into variants. It could be just some ground vehicle variants. So, and there's lots of stuff that I would expect to see variant-wise of ships and vehicles throughout the rest of the year with live releases. It could even be 400i and 500i or whatever, and all these other new ships that we might see in the future. The Raft and the mobile refinery, and there could be variants of those. Mine's coming in 3.15. That's what it... Well, that's what it appears to be. No, not mines in 3.15. It's bombs in 3.15, not mines. No, wait. Was it? Did they re-add mines to 3.15? They might have re-added mines, mightn't they? So mines have come back onto the progress tracker. And I don't think they're back in 3.15 though. I think it's just the bombs. Let me. I don't have that. I don't have the roadmap up because I am a dum-dum. So, I think it's just bombs we have here. Yeah, just bombs at the moment. And then if you go to the progress tracker, we can see where the mines are being planned and being worked on. Space mines trying to get work that finishes from the weapon feature team, so may be completed-ish by the start of October. That's when that work finishes. So it's something we might see at like CitizenCon. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you, thank you. But they're not confirmed for any particular patch mines at the moment. I don't believe. Release view. Let's just make sure that's the case still. They do sneaky little drops of content. Yeah. I will do a 3.15 update video properly because obviously there was those new features that were added, which I sort of covered. But there's obviously the features that were already there, and there's some stuff that might move out, and there's more stuff that could be put in. Obviously, we've got some quite exciting features with the Redeemer, the A2, bombs, the Crusader Ares series, big old guns, medical gameplay. There's a huge amount of 3.15 personal inventory, but how much of that's going to get pushed back? And we could talk about some of this as well. Really glad the funeral went well, dude. Thank you very much. So am I. I'm glad that they didn't lose the body or anything like that. I'm moving house and managed to get a Splinter. Can you tell me when that's coming out? No, unfortunately, I can't give you Splinter release dates. Sorry, buddy. Also, events. Yes, the events. Tomorrow, I'll be jumping in and trying out some of the event stuff. Time permitting, but should be good. I appreciate the big donation there as well. Dusty Death, that is very much appreciated. You're a star. You're a legend and a star, sir. What are you hoping to see at CitizenCon? What are you hoping shown? So, the main thing I'm hoping that is shown... Hello there! Powelly? Thanks. I appreciate the donation. Thank you so much. Hello there. So, I want to see a gameplay demo. This is the main presentation gameplay that they show every year. I'd like to be focused on... probably Pyro and Nyx or new star system stuff, the new missions and gameplay loops that are in the near future, probably show off a new ship or two, and show off some of the cool stuff that they can do with some mission setups. So yeah, I'd love to see potentially AI doing cleverer things or animals, stuff like that. But it's more sort of like, show me some new systems, show me traveling between them, show me some mission content, show me some just cool new stuff that's coming in the near future. I don't think anything needs anything super extravagant, and it can be on like a local area network. And this is obviously in a enclosed environment, and it's not ready for multiplayer properly yet for prime time. But here you go. Here's a bit more of a staged version of a mission. Cool. I'm okay with that, and I want to see those new gameplay loops coming in. And then presentation-wise, I want to see sort of like stuff from the Dynamic Universe sim and new ships and planetary tech and the tasty stuff that they always show. But any new features that they can sort of do deep dives into would be appreciated. I suspect we'll see sort of like major Theatres of War updates and stuff like that as well. It's possible they'll start Squadron 42 and sort of advertising campaign. But that's the sort of stuff I want to see at CitizenCon. And I'd love to see a new big gold capital ship, even if it's just a concept. I mean, I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. People will be like, no, why? But I do like it. I know I'm a monster. Genesis always felt the concept art fitting more towards Myst than Crusader. I see. I know what you're saying. I think they originally wanted something sort of like unique, so they went, "Oh, let's give it to Crusader." But I see what you mean. Obviously, the Genesis Starliner is going to be more updated in a slightly more Crusader-esque sort of theme and brand. So I expect a few changes to it from just the concept art. You can run Star Citizen on a 2060. You want to make sure it's installed on an SSD. You want at least 16 gigs of RAM, preferably 32. And make sure your sort of system is tweaked for gaming and there's not random stuff running in the background. I mean, some people work on like 1050 Ti's and stuff, but it is pretty rough at that sort of level. You have to make concessions hugely with resolutions and things like that, typically. Mines coming in 3.15 are the FPS mines or ship mines. They are ship mines as far as I'm aware. I'm not sure exactly what type of mines they are. Are they the explosive ones they've talked about? Are they turreted mines? Are they both? Are they different ones? Server meshing aimed Q2 2022. That's my expectation as well. But will probably arrive Q3, Q4 2022. That is quite possible. Oh, a dev says that on Star Citizen Links. That also seems pretty reasonable and in line with my thinking. I think the target is Q2 2022. We've said that for many months now. Much compassion to you, friend. Honeydew, thank you, appreciate it. I'm most excited for the upcoming Links. Really? Okay, but yeah, Links is obviously being worked on as well as the Orion and the other one. How do you think it will turn out alongside the Ursa G12 and Cyclones? I think it's going to be sort of in between the G12 and the Ursa at that sort of stage, yeah? Sort of more luxury, slightly smaller Ursa. Do you think we're going to have to restrain erratic passengers on the Starliner? I think there could be incidents on the Starliner, yes. And there's going to be less than lethal weaponry, so quite possibly. You stun bat on them. How do you remain so calm and patient? Am I calm and patient? When? You don't know me very well at all, but I suppose a lot of people see me calm and patient, and they don't know when I play games with like Zin and stuff when I'm not recording, or even when I am recording, but I'm sort of chill. In my spare time, I often get very stressed. I'm a stressed individual. This is a facade of calm. Facade. Oh, did you know that there are some men God made smart, and the rest he covered their heads with hair? Boom! I've got this an upside down face. Entirely new in-game star map in the works. So there are lots of stuff in the works to do with the star map, and mini-maps, star map, big updates with that are coming. The Turbulent Studio is working on that as far as I'm aware. Star map app update overhaul for that app. And there's going to be ways of sort of navigating and sharing informational data and coordinates and all that sort of stuff around planets and in space. That is all coming in the future. It is being worked on. Exactly what form it will take and exactly what it looks like, I don't know. I hope it is good. We've needed it desperately for a long time. Board, what do you think the unannounced ships are in the development? So they've talked about some of these unannounced ships in the monthly report. They just said they're unannounced, all this sort of stuff. So I think we're going to see 100 or 100i or 500i. There's the Argo Raft, the Mobile Refinery. Potentially, if the Argo Raft's more the smaller cargo ship and not the Mobile Refinery, then I think we'll see a Mobile Refinery separately, obviously. There's supposed to be a more war capital ship, and potentially in the works. I'd love to see a drone corvette, but I think we'll see lots of vehicles for lots of different uses, including medical gameplay. But there's obviously a huge amount of stuff they could do. I think we'll see a variety of variants as well for a load of the ships we currently have, especially when they start to add modularity. Where's the X1? I want it. Don't know. Haven't had an update on the X1 for a long time. That is the floaty space bike from Origin. And with the introduction of bombs, what do you think are the chances of a handheld laser designator? I think that is quite high. I think a target painter is probably something that may be used to guide stuff on the ground much more accurately. Because I think that's going to be one of the things that defends ground installations and bases eventually. They'll have EMP and scrambly stuff and E-war stuff that literally is positioned on the ground that you'll be like, well, your targeting systems for your ship don't work properly, and you can't see stuff properly, and missiles won't lock on, and it'll be harder to use bombs and things like that until you laser designate, laser paint, things like that. So that is one of my expectations, or something I was hoping for when we get sort of more base gameplay, but that is more sort of like theory craft than anything else, but it sort of logically makes sense. Will you ever get larger sized missiles beside just torps? Yeah. You should see a range for both for different uses. It's typical that once missiles get to a certain size, they probably become torpedoes, but not always. Bombs look really fun. So the bomb stuff that they showed was more sort of like missiles that didn't ignite, that they could drop and then gravity pulls them. But there are going to be, obviously, proper bombs. I didn't mean the Hercules, I meant the Hurricane. Sorry. Obviously, when I was talking earlier about heavy fighters, I meant Hurricane, not Hercules. My bad. I occasionally misspoke. Apologies. When will they start making the Corsair? So, I'm not sure if we've seen anything on the Corsair for a while. Cool. The Drake Corsair is got work planned. Has work that is currently ongoing on it. So, 2 sets of teams. So we had the vehicle concept art team that have done their work on it, and then at the end of October, running until sort of towards the end of June 2022, it looks like there is major work going to be going on it from the vehicle content team. We could see it for probably the Q3 2022 patch if all goes well. Q3 2022 patch, if all goes well. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So the Orion is now on the progress tracker for receiving work at the start of April and going into May. And that's important because I originally had thought that ship wasn't going to be worked on until very close to the end of Star Citizen, before it was about to go like version 1. So the Orion and the Genesis are getting work next year, which is interesting. Early next year, in fact. What else have we got here? I'm not going to be streaming for a huge amount of time today. Very small amount of time, probably. Just having a bit of chat, updating people. Do you think turrets are purposely overpowered at the moment to encourage turret gameplay? Partially, but I mean, you want turrets to be very powerful. Yeah? You potentially want them to be more powerful than people choosing to use another single-seater ship. Yeah? So, I think it's important to make them powerful. Obviously, you don't want anything overpowered, because that would mean that they're not appropriately powerful. But you do want them to be very powerful. Do you see what I mean? And I don't think they're overpowered at the moment. Do you like newer HUDs? There's a lot on them that they convey. Yeah? They're practical. ETA for my hotfix. My mobiGlass is broken and can't be bothered to reset. So there's a few things you can do. Try changing your character in Character Customizer. and that can work. And hopefully when the 3.14.0 Z patch comes off the PTU and onto live, that will fix it. Has there been any news on the merchantman, and how will players be able to interact with it? No. So beyond, we know that there's going to be shops on board the merchantman that you'll be able to change what they're selling and everything. The plan is to have them either automated or what they said was NPCs running them, which you can purchase the sort of or hire the NPCs to do that. But the interaction between the merchantman and the bandit defender, we don't know exactly what's going to be. There's going to be some sort of light interaction with them. So the Hercules A2 is far too expensive. I mean, it's a cool super bomber, but so the claim bug should have already been fixed during the week on the live build through a hotfix. And the patch notes for 3.14.0Z mention that, but they also say that there's a fix in for that. They also say it was actually hotfix deployed during the week. Do you think ballistic ammo counts will change in the future? Yes. They will change it, and they will balance it, and there's obviously going to be physical components, and there's going to potentially be slots for ammo that we could potentially put in ships, but they might have... we might have to make some choices about exactly what we have and where and things like that. So let's see where they go with it. I took my $190 Taurus and melted my ship levelers and CCU'd the Taurus to an Inferno in hopes the Inferno will go up in price at flight ready, so I can keep making money off the CCU. Good idea. I mean, it's you certainly have prospected. I'm not sure. Inferno will go up in price when it goes live. Yeah, maybe not a huge amount, maybe like $25. Salutations, hope you're well. Got here listening. So Novesta's in. I will send a message to Zin. I'll text her in a bit. Sketch therapy. No worries. How do you make buttered eggs, scrambled eggs? Do you add nutmeg and butter, or cream only? I don't add nutmeg, and I don't add cream. Okay, you can add cream, but I add just a dash of full cream milk, salt, pepper, butter, whisk. It's all you really need. Do you think the links? What do you think the links will be like? Hard to imagine what a luxury Ursa will end up like. Just a smaller, faster Ursa, really. That's exactly what I'm expecting. Any word on the Titan suit? No. There is no new updates on the Titan suit. I'd love to see it at CitizenCon. And we know that they may be prioritizing it slightly more because of Theatres of War, but does meshing and iCache implementation make a wipe more likely? Yes, it makes it more likely. Because it might be an entirely new way of doing the databases and how they pull data. If you had to elevator pitch CIG a ship, what would it look like and what would you call it? I want a small drone corvette. So more drone-based gameplay that you can have some players running the drones out of it. And you have it so that it can collect and sort of move drones around. Sort of like a drone carrier. I desperately want a drone carrier. And whatever happened to the secondary exit and entrance for the Mecca Star Runner? I'd expect to see an emergency ladder hatch eventually for the Star Runner. What's your opinion on the Crusader Ares Inferno versus the Ion? Which do you think will be the most beneficial? So I loved the Ion a load more than the Inferno previously. But one of those reasons was that it had the extra shield. Now they've obviously reduced the shield, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Obviously, they've also tweaked ballistics. So how much ammo is the Inferno going to have with its ballistic weapons? So I don't know what's going to be more beneficial yet because we don't have them in our hands. And it does depend on stuff like that. Do you have any secret intel on the Polaris? No new secret intel on the Polaris. I haven't even heard anything from like NDA sources. The idea when ship fires will be implemented. I think they wanted. I think we'll see it at CitizenCon. But I think they're trying to get fire extinguishers and fire in at the end of the year if possible. It might not be ships. It might not be ships on fire though. It might be fire extinguishers and fire at locations and points of interest and missions. At that stage, damage control in the future though. What's your take on refueling ships having their tanks shot as a way of blowing them up? I don't think that the fuel will be flammable like that. When can we expect more on the 600i rework? Don't know. They've talked about it a couple of times. We know that there's some tweaks and stuff. And I know they're working on them, but I'm not sure when it's going to be in what patch. What else have we got? When do you think we'll get Jumptown 2? It's basically outposts and stations, as I understand it, having alerts for a more dynamic economy and requesting materials and certain materials being on certain outposts and things. That's the way I'm expecting Jumptown 2 to be. They could probably get it in by the end of the year. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be any more in-depth than that, than just be a place to try and funnel players. Is the Pisces small enough at 100 meters to be used as a normal everyday kind of ship? Pisces? What? Pisces is tiny. Are you talking about the Perseus? Yeah, I mean, the Perseus is a combat slugger. I mean, it's not it's supposed to be taking on larger ships. It might have problems with lots of little fighters fighting it. So, great in a fleet. What starter pack would you recommend right now? If you can get an Avenger Titan, get an Avenger Titan. I think that's probably one of the best ships to start the game with. Upgrade an Aurora MR to 1, or something like that. Aurora MR, pretty solid choice at the moment. It's got missiles, things like that. Zin loves it for doing the tutorial. Do you think people's interest in new ships will get saturated and start losing interest in the game? Ships are cool, but you want more prop content. People want both. I need more gameplay loops for the game, but I think a lot of people are pretty chill to wait a few more years before Star Citizen comes out, and they sort of want both. They just want good amount of progress to be made as well as ships. They can't just go, we're only making spaceships now and not doing any progress for 3 years. Like, that wouldn't fly anymore. With the Orion and Hull series work starting soon, when do you see the Endeavour being started on? I think the Endeavour is probably going to be the last ship that they build out, unless it's needed for Squadron 42 or there's some sort of run on science. It's so complex, the Endeavour, with so many gameplay loops attached to science, and it's a big ship. What is this game all about? It's, at the moment, an alpha game that's, if you played Eve, it's supposed to be first-person Eve, where you can sort of pursue a huge amount of roles, and it's a very much first-person game where you are a space person going around, and there's a focus on space and ship combat, but also just the huge amount of different roles you can do, from cargo trading to mining to all this sort of stuff. So sort of find your own path and do a huge amount of these gameplay loops, which will all affect each other with this huge player-influenced economy, but it is a simulated economy, so that these NPCs and factory nodes and all these things are going on. So whereas Eve's economy is almost entirely super player-led, this one is player-influenced but is simulated. So not in the same way. Are there any plans for a BoredGamer org yet? So we do have a BoredGamer org in game, but it is social only org, which Zin is supposed to be running and should start to be running probably within the next week. Doing some stuff on Discord, playing the Xeno Threat and Ninehouse Lockdown event and stuff like that with the community. How are you doing mentally? I remember you were not doing good. Well, my father passed away recently, so I'm doing pretty well considering. The funeral was yesterday. I'm bipolar, so I'm aware of the fleetingness of happiness and depression. But I'm doing all right. Thank you very much. I think I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, thank you very much for asking. It's appreciated. With the upcoming free flight this week, so 18th it starts. Are we going to see a ship sail? Almost certainly going to see a combat ship sail, and maybe there might be a new ship, but we don't know. I don't know that for sure. Jamie Oliver, top tip: season your egg once it's on the plate rather than the whisk. So I understand that. I mean, I would do a tiny amount of seasoning, at least a tiny amount of seasoning, while it's being cooked, and then season to taste beyond that once it's on the plate. You mentioned drone gameplay. Besides the Vulcan and Carrack, are you aware of what ships will have access to drones? So obviously the Nautilus, because it has the mine decommissioner drone, and I think the Reclaimer's going to have drones. We'll have to wait and see, but I suspect that a lot of ships will be able to have drone bays. Hey, body, cool, casual, confident, charismatic, and cheeky bisted. How you doing? I appreciate all the love. Thanks. With the Vulture on the horizon, do you think this will only come with some sort of salvage? Or do you think we'll see some sort of level of repair too? That's an interesting question. So the Vulture, it's going to be mainly focused on hull stripping as salvage, yeah? And we know that salvage that's coming later this year is going to be hand salvage, but it's going to be using the modular and maybe even dedicated salvage tool to hull strip, but you can also, using the same materials you hull strip, repair the outer hull. Now, will the Vulture be able to also repair? That is a possibility. Right? They haven't, Cloud Imperium have not said it will be able to. We know it is primarily a salvage ship, but will that kind of salvage also be a kind of repair on a ship scale? Maybe. It's an interesting question. It's inevitable that making progress developing a game will break the alpha client. However, every time this happens, such as 3.14, the community is up in arms. Well, some of the community are, and potentially rightly so for certain things. I mean, Star Citizen community is pretty big now, and you're always going to have some people that are more polarized than others. And it's not the whole community, it's just some people. And some people, rightly so. And other people, not so rightly so. So it depends on how up in arms you are about it. And are you complaining and whining and bitching and telling people that they need to lose their limbs? Or are you sort of like saying, actually constructively, this is still an issue, and it'd be interesting to know why it's broken again and how it's broken again, and really we need this fixed ASAP, and a detailed report on that sort of stuff is much more useful, I think, to the game development than the alpha's broken. Well, yes, it might be. That's one of the reasons it's an alpha and not a live game. Well, it is a live alpha. It is playable alpha. There are arguments to be made. It does need to be playable. And again, I think that a lot of these arguments have legs, and there's a lot of discussion you can have with this stuff. So there's a lot of vague concepts here when it comes to what a playable alpha means. And yeah, as long as it's not the full game that I'm supposed to be playing and it's just broken beyond measure. Because yes, sometimes Star Citizen, especially on the PT builds, sometimes live builds are pretty buggy and pretty broken. But it's Star Citizen has come a long way, and I have a lot of hours of fun with Star Citizen. It's very pretty, but it needs a huge amount more. It needs a huge amount more. Do you think there's a problem with RSI's communication and the community expectations, or both? Definitely both, but in some ways. And it's different for different people. It's the community, quite a large beast. Yeah, so there's a huge amount of reasonable things going on there. There's a huge amount or slightly more unreasonable things, but it's all part and parcel of the community. Yeah. So CIG have erratic communication. Now, they have a huge amount of communication. They update us a huge amount every week, hence why I'm able to get videos out every day, on different news and stuff. And they update us with a huge amount of stuff. Now, sometimes they are tone deaf with the stuff they update us with. Sometimes they miss the mark. Sometimes they should be updating us more on certain aspects of Star Citizen. Sometimes they get release dates and times and things wrong when they probably shouldn't. Sometimes there's a communication problem with RSI, sometimes there's not. But they do give us a huge amount more than any other studio would. And it's a double-edged sword the way they've done their development, that's all. Community expectations, they're a mixed bag as well. Some people expect a huge amount, some people expect different things. Some people are super hyped, some people are not. I think it's fair enough. I mean, it's a community. How are you able to play this bug in 30k game? It's not that bad. Unless you're an edge case that's unable to get into the game or something. 3.14's pretty stable now, at least for me. And ship became bugs. Looks like it's been fixed. I haven't had any problems. Well, I've crashed a couple of times with 3.14. As I said, typically I play earlier in the mornings in my time zone. Yeah, I haven't had that much problems with 30k. So I know a lot of people were having 30k problems. Is it still aggressive over the weekend with the hotfix? I am a self-proclaimed, and I just look like a potato. It's all good. I'm live, yes, bit ago. J-Bed's a beautiful boy. What else have we got here? What else? In the latest roundup, they mentioned different ammunition types like EMP rounds and plasma and flamey boy rounds. Do you think that could be the beginning of the Perseus? I think the Perseus probably will be able to have different ammo types, yeah. I think FPS weapons and ships will be able to have ammo types, but it's going to be based on the weapon that we're talking about. Will the ammo on the Ares Ion be limited? So it will require capacitor recharge, like all energy weapons. Yes. But it's not going to be limited in the same way the Inferno's is, with the Inferno literally has ballistic ammo. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for the Nautilus as well, but more for the gameplay that sort of allows for. Do you think the Retaliator rework will see it move to the newer power level and style of manned turrets? Yes. Old design is awful by new standards. Yeah, so there's a load of updates internally for that Retaliator. I didn't think there was going to be so much. It's looking pretty good. Would they make all Origin ships have variations? Not necessarily. There's no 890 variation, but it's possible they'll have a lot more variation and modular components for them. Would fireworks work in space? Something similar to firework could work in space. Would any explosive device work in space? You could find a way of making them work, I'm sure. Got the sun in you, that's basically a big firework. Aren't most swords double-edged? No? Katana? Bokusashi? Lots of swords aren't double-edged. Why would you double-edge your sword? Depends what sword it is. We expect new mine layers, variants, or new ships with mines. So in the future, you can probably expect other mines to be able to, other ships to be able to deploy mines. Yes. Oh, the bid guy, thank you very much for the donation. I very much appreciate it. 3.14 is stable, but the nasty game sent me to prison, being a criminal terrorist. My phone's is running out of battery. Sorry, I'm hard up this week. Any little sticker for my friends? I appreciate the love. People know are at no point obliged or need to donate or anything like that to help support the channel. I really, if anyone wants to support and help the channel, commenting on the videos, giving feedback about what videos you want to see, turning up to any of these streams and asking questions, that is super helpful. People that want to chuck money at me as well, that is amazing. Thank you so much. But it is not essential for the channel to keep going. But it is obviously appreciated when it happens. I'm not going to turn any people chucking donation money or join button or Patreon or anything like that away. That's amazing. But it is not essential. And I'd rather people eat and eat better or have their own money as well. So thank you. It is appreciated. Any fix for the character services unavailable? What? Sorry, what exactly is that? That might be a go to support.warpspaceindustries.com, and that might be a reset your account thing, but hopefully that will be fixed in the 3.14.0 said update. What's the issue for ballistics to go back to having stored on the ship for reload? They used to have this. There was a time period for reload. So the idea is that even there's going to be ammo reload still, but it's how much ammo capacity does your ship have, and it's going to be pretty low. Ballistics are super powerful now, but the ammo count is supposed to be specifically low. But there might be ways of having a little bit more ammo, but it's still going to be relatively low. What ship not yet on the roadmap are you most looking forward to? Banning Merchantman, probably. The Perseus is pretty high up on that list as well. Kraken, I think, is going to add a huge amount of gameplay. When the game is in beta or close to launch, what direction will your channel be taking? Covering the game more. So I'll obviously move with the times and think about additional content, but I want to do a lot of in-game content. I want to be playing the game and might even do a daily show where we look at what's happening with the game's economy, what's happened in the last day, what's happening with orgs, what's happening in the systems, sort of a little news show as well, because I think that would be pretty easy to do, because you just have to keep up to date with what's happening in the verse, and then talk about it. And what I want to do, I want to have constant coverage of Star Citizen, in-game and out, and so I could separate that. Is PvP in Star Citizen based on different range control doctrines in like Ala Eve? I don't know exactly what that means, sorry. I've obviously played a lot of Eve, but I'm not sure if I understand that term or how it's applied to Star Citizen. So in PvP, in Star Citizen, the game is blended PvE, PvP, but there is going to be areas and star systems where it is almost entirely PvE, and it would be very hard to do any form of PvP. And there's obviously lore system and all this sort of stuff to prevent that. But there's also going to be star systems like Pyro, which PvP is fully enabled with very little restriction at all. And if you engage in it there, it's like the Wild West. No one's going to know. So high risk and reward is the idea. But you might not see any PvP there at all. But it's not going to be just PvP in those areas. There's going to be a huge amount of PvE content too. Do you think we'll get a real cap or sub cap, or just another cap variant? I'd like to see a new capital ship for CitizenCon, or the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. How do you think flight models would change from where it is now? So, I mean, there's going to be, they're adding control surfaces, so aerodynamic flight and wings and all that sort of stuff, and patterns, whatever, will affect your flight. So they are trying to finalize out a lot of this flight model stuff, but we've got physical damage, we've got physical components, they're going to affect, and a huge amount of balance that goes into the actual components of ships. So that's all going to cause stuff. And then actual weight of onboard people, cargo, and that's going to start to cause things and actual damage and hull damage and the physical damage done to your hull. It's all going to change things. So obviously, it's the structures and the skeletons there now. It's got a bit of flesh on its bones as well. They just need to add some more of these things. Is the 9-hour lockdown only on weekends? At the moment, it seems to be, but they'll change it. It's going to be a bit more random. They sort of enable it for weekends at the moment. Battlefleet is now up to gold standard according to the roadmap. Yes, that's what they sort of suggested. Do you think we'll see the reworks done anytime soon? So 3.15 is supposed to have Arena Commander updates. They're updating Dying Star and Broken Moon. Basically, effectively overhauling the maps massively to look a lot better and to be larger. I'm hoping they also improve Vandal Swarm at the same time with the Scythe and Glaive updates. The balance of PvP and PvE content is similar to what EVE Online tried to achieve. Very toxic culture as a result. Do you think Star Citizen will end up going that direction? I hope not. So I think that there were some other things that made some toxicity in EVE a thing. But also, EVE wasn't all bad. There are going to be toxic elements in any community, yes. But hopefully the fact that Star Citizen is of a typically older generation and it depends on the gameplay is sort of fleshed out as well, and the community at large. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully people will not all be pieces of shit. Toxicity isn't really about how people play for the most part. I mean, griefing and stuff is toxic, but it's more how people act within the community, how they speak and stuff. So, again, it's a slightly vague term that people interpret how they fancy. Tony Dutch, thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And for the most part, Star Citizen community is pretty good. It's probably one of the best communities I've been in. I mean, it's not good in all of the areas of the Star Citizen community, and there's obviously individuals and some areas of it that are not great, but hopefully we'll see some updates to the banner matchment at CitizenCon. That'd be absolutely fantastic. PT's running well. From what I could see, the PT was running pretty well. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the Xenothreat playtest goes. Right. Any other quick questions? Because I've been streaming for an hour, and what I want to do is I'm going to have a tiny mini lunch. Check on my mother, make sure she's doing okay. And because I'm going to be looking after my mother for a while. And then I'm going to go to a barbecue. I've got a video that's going to come out in a minute, which is the Star Citizen news recap throughout the week. And obviously talking about the next week's free fly and all that sort of stuff that's going on. So I want people to check that out. That would be absolutely fantastic. Can you equip a ship to fight at ranges? At different ranges? Yeah, and the different weapons have different ranges. And do you have a means of keeping an enemy at an appropriate range? Status, webs, and scram. So you've got ways of pulling players out of quantum, but you don't have the web fires yet. You don't have the slow devices yet. I mean, you have EMPs. I'm hoping they do expand out some of this content so that you can help keep ships at range, that you don't just have to outrun them constantly. Do they have plans to rework some landing areas? They expect to see updates in those areas, for sure. They're adding hospitals to all of them and things, and they'll get some tweaks for sure. Thank you very much for all the love and the donations and the people clicking the join button and the sub button and all that sort of jazz. I'm going to find a beautiful streamy boy for you to go and see. So Mike doing some Star Citizen stuff? It's probably... So Mike's probably talking about some Star Citizen stuff. I love the boy. Even when he's salty, it's all good. He's entitled to his opinion. And he's one of my favourite people. He helped me out a lot when I've been very depressed. So give him some love, even if you don't agree with all his stuff. And his I love him. I love you. I love all of you. Some of you are good people. And I love you whether you are or not. I don't know what's going on. I'm going. Thanks very much for watching, guys. You take care. Peace.